I want to do? I want to go on Google and research what phrases do native speakers always use. What phrases do native speakers really use? Here we go. Well, I think we need to talk about this. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to Smashing English. Today I look like I'm going to a disco and I'm so happy you're here with me. Before we start this video, be sure to subscribe because we make new videos all the time and I don't want you to miss any. So with that said, let's get on with the video. Hello. Nice to meet you. My name is Laura and I am an English teacher and a native English speaker. And I noticed something recently. There is a lot of bad advice on the internet. Oh, it says here we can wash the cat with bleach. You can't follow every piece of advice you see on the internet, especially when it comes to language learning. So what I did is I went to Google and I typed in things like the most common English phrases or idioms that native speakers use. And I found loads of lists, all claiming to have all of the idioms that real native English speakers use. But there were some of them that I just didn't like. And I think if I was learning English as my second language, and if I learnt these idioms and these phrases and used them with a native speaker, it would actually make me sound way less like a native than I was intending to, because we don't actually use them. So here we go. Here are some phrases and idioms that you might have learnt that we don't really say very often anymore. But before we do, as always on this channel, if there is a resource out there that can help you improve your English, I want to tell you about it, especially if I can get you discounts and free stuff. Keep watching. Let me quickly introduce you to a fantastic English learning app, Elsa Speak. Elsa Speak is pretty much from the future. It uses cutting-edge artificial intelligence technology to pinpoint your English mistakes. You get scored on your pronunciation, fluency, and intonation. It was so good, then we went out to a club in town. TH. It was so good, then we went out to a club in town. They compare it to a native speaker and you get precise feedback instantly. But you can also learn more vocabulary, phrases, things you need for daily conversation. We went to get some grub forced. We went to grab some grub first. Elsa Speak currently has over 1,600 lessons and over 40 topics for you to practice. With this app, anyone can speak English. There are 2 links in the description down below. One link will give you 7 days free pro membership, and the other link gives you exclusive discounts of either 40% off a 1-year membership or 85% off the lifetime membership. That one would save you $400. What are you waiting for? It's right there. Actually, no, wait till the end of this video because I have things to say, but download it at the end of the video. Good, okay, good. Let's carry on with the video. Okay, phrases that native speakers don't really use and what to say instead. The first one is, you crack me up. You crack me up. I feel like if I did say this, I would be saying it as a joke. I'd be saying it ironically. I don't think I would ever say it seriously and genuinely. You crack me up basically means you make me laugh. And I think most people would just say, you make me laugh, or you're really funny, or you're hilarious. I think you crack me up sounds a little American from the 1940s, you know? Next up, we have it rocks or it rules. I haven't heard this since about 2002. I think it was quite popular in 90s TV shows. And it basically means it's amazing. If something rocks, it's really cool, it's really good. If something rules, it's really cool, it's really good. But avoid this one. If someone said to me in 2023, you rule, I don't know, it would just sound so out of place, I think. Instead, I would just say, it's cool, it's amazing, it's great. Or you're cool, you're amazing, you're great. Next up, we have to hit the sack. This means to go to bed, but it's very outdated. You don't hear a lot of modern day human beings saying this phrase, I'm gonna hit the sack. It's the same with hit the hay. That's also a phrase that means to sleep, to hit the hay. And you might have learned these, you might have read them in a list of really common idioms, but it's not so common. You can say it, people know what you mean, but it doesn't really make you sound like you're a real native. What would sound even better is, I'm going to call it a night. I think I'm going to call it a night. I'm gonna go to bed. I've had enough. I've finished the night. I'm going to call it a night and go to bed. The next idiom I saw on Google was spend a penny. Now this is what my grandmother used to say to mean go to the toilet. It was the polite way of saying I'm gonna go to the toilet. You say, I'm just going to spend a penny. But I can't imagine anyone under the age of about 80 saying this one, and if they did, it would be probably in an ironic, joking way. So if you've learnt spend a penny, you don't need it. You could just say, I'm gonna nip to the loo. If you are living in Britain, British people say nip to the loo or pop to the loo. In the States, I know they say go to the bathroom or go to the restroom, but in Britain, you can also just say go to the toilet. And I think you can say that in most countries, to be honest. The next thing I saw was really weird. I saw on a list of most common phrases, I saw pip pip and cheerio for British slang. It might have been in the 1920s, but we don't say pip pip. Both of these phrases mean goodbye, pip pip, cheerio, but I would only say that if I was doing an impression of a very posh old person. Like if I was doing an impression of a lady who talks like this, I might say pip pip, cheerio, but never genuinely. I would just say see ya, or ta-ta, or ta-ra. See you later. Next up, we have the ever famous, it's raining cats and dogs. Yes, some natives do say this. I'll be honest, some native speakers do say this, you will hear it, but it's nowhere near as common as it's chucking it down. In Britain, we always say it's chucking it down, or it was chucking it down. The next one I'm a little bit conflicted about because I do hear it, but it's definitely dying out. It's definitely not a phrase that a 15-year-old teenager will say, and therefore in the future I think it will be used less and less. And it is close but no cigar. So this is an idiom to mean it's close, but it's not quite the right thing. It's not quite there. Apparently this idiom comes from the 1920s, where at fairs they would give you a prize if you won something, and the prize was a cigar. So they're saying, oh, you're close, you nearly won, but no cigar, no prize, you're not quite there. And I like this phrase, but I just don't hear it very often, so you don't need to learn it. You're safer just to say close, but not quite. Now, I need to address all of these death idioms. We've got a lot of death idioms, like kick the bucket, pushing up daisies, 6 feet under. These idioms do exist, but I can't think of a single time where I would use them, because if someone dies, usually it's sad. So I can't imagine going to a funeral and saying, oh, it's so sad that he kicked the bucket, because it's like using this funny idiom to talk about it. So you're never going to need them unless you're making a joke about someone dying. And if you are, you can use them. If not, the sensitive way to say it is they passed away. Someone has passed away. Now I could do a whole other video on this next phrase, and it's apples and pears. Apples and pears comes from Cockney rhyming slang. Now, Cockney rhyming slang is a way of speaking where you use words that rhyme with the word that you want to say or the phrase that you want to say instead of actually saying it. For example, apples and pears in Cockney rhyming slang means stairs. So I'm gonna go up the apples and pears stairs. Now you've got to be careful with Cockney rhyming slang because the general population outside of a Cockney group does not know what most of them mean. Even people who would class themselves as Cockneys, I don't believe they speak in this way a lot. There are some phrases from Cockney rhyming slang that have made their way into how we speak in Britain, some of them, but really not all of them. So don't get concerned with learning Cockney rhyming slang or knowing what they mean, because it's not going to be useful for you. Some examples of Cockney rhyming slang that we actually do use sometimes in Britain are Adam and Eve instead of believe. We might say, can you Adam and Eve it? We also use let's get down to brass tacks, which means facts, brass tacks. facts. So if you're getting down to brass tacks, you're getting down to facts. Let's talk about the facts. Okay, the next phrase I saw that we don't really use anymore is how do you do? I saw that in a real list of British phrases. How do you do? We don't say it, we say how are you. How do you do is very formal, very posh. How do you do? It's something the Queen would say. Rest in peace. So there you go. Don't blindly learn everything you read on the internet. We can learn so much from the internet, but try to be specific with where you put your energy. Don't just go on any website, listen to any person, because chances are it might not always be the most correct information. So my best advice is if you can find a native teacher to talk to, that is fantastic, but I know it's also expensive. So use apps, trusted apps like Elsa Speak, apps that know what they're talking about. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If you would like to follow us on Instagram, you can do so there. And if you want a one-to-one online English lesson with me or my fiance Bez, the link for that is down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Ta-ta!